everybody. Welcome to your, I don't even know what day we're on. I believe we're on the Wednesday edition of the TraderMerlin Show. Hope you had a great session out there. We'll talk about the market behavior, the nice up move for a lot of these equity indexes, including cryptocurrencies. But today's topic is going to be slightly different than we normally do. Obviously, if you saw the little marketing piece that we put out there, NFTs have been one of the hottest topics in the financial markets, not even just in the crypto space, but also in the equity side of things. People talking about NFTs. There's Metaverse ETFs now. Fidelity announced yesterday 2 new Metaverse ETFs on top of the 2 we already have. So it is becoming almost an overcrowded space with regards to the ETFs, yet this NFT, Metaverse, gaming stock world is continuing to soar. So I thought, you know what? I'm not an expert in that area, so let's bring on somebody who is an expert. And as you know, we've been trying to interview some people from Decrypt, which puts out great content on the financial markets as well as digital world and the Decrypt side of things. Today we're going to bring on Kate Irwin to talk about navigating the NFT markets. Fortunately for me, Kate is on the West Coast, or in the same time zone. Kate, thank you for coming on and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure getting new people on the program, and I would love to start with maybe a little bit of a background as far as how you got into or fell into this rabbit hole, which is cryptocurrencies and digital assets and NFTs. So what sucked you into this thing?
Well, I mean, I got into crypto about a year ago. I had known about it since 2015, though. But in 2015, I was in college, didn't really have the money or the means or the wherewithal to get started in investing. And so I came back into it last year. And it really started slow for me, learning about Bitcoin, then learning about Ethereum. And then around November of last year, 2021, was when I really was deep diving into the NFT space. And around that time was when NFT trading volume on OpenSea for Ethereum NFTs was through the roof. The numbers were in the billions of dollars per month being traded. And so the space has just really exploded from there. And this whole subculture surrounding NFTs has emerged. So it's really fascinating to watch as a journalist. I come from more of a gaming background, traditional English and writing background, but really moving towards always artistic things. And the NFTs are often focused around art or gaming. So it's been super interesting to follow the space and learn more about this whole new emerging market.
Yeah, there's kind of a natural synergy, and that's probably something we'll talk about more as we progress, between gaming and NFTs. I have to, I guess, out of full disclosure, I actually do own NFTs. However, all my NFTs are components that I need for specific games. So I'm not the art collector yet, but I do own NFTs in that game space. One thing that I think deserves some clarity here for everybody is, we always hear this term of Web 3.0, and I'm kind of interested to get your perspective on it. Some people say it's not real. Other people say it's critical to the future of transparency in financial markets and communication. What's your take on it, and kind of how do these NFTs, et cetera, apply to Web 3.0?
Yeah, so Web3 is this idea that the next generation of the internet will be focused around ownership as opposed to other things. So I guess a lot of people talk about Web 1 as kind of just being read only, and I'm very oversimplifying this, but just for the sake of conversation, Web 1 is often considered sort of like the read only internet. Web 2 is kind of considered the read and write internet, and then Web 3 is being sort of considered the read, write, and own internet. So we're seeing, Web 2, like peak Web 2 is basically Facebook, Twitter, where you're reading other people's posts, but you are also engaging, you are creating content. But I think a lot of people who tout the word Web 3, and it's debated as to whether we're even close to Web 3 yet, or what that even looks like. But people that believe in the term and like to use it, it's sort of this catch-all term referring to any sort of ownership-based internet integrations. And that's typically focused around cryptocurrency, because obviously that involves owning, buying, selling digital cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And so that's really like what Web3 is in the minds of a lot of people, if that makes sense.
It does. It's interesting because, I guess I guess what we're lacking in the entire space is what really it is. I mean, that's one perspective, which actually, I'll be honest, I haven't heard that one before, which I actually really like it. Web 1 being read, 2 being read write, and then 3 being ownership. And I'll give you mine real quick that I kind of threw together, which is Web 1.0 for me was connecting information, right? Getting all the libraries and books and everything in the world. Web 2 was connecting people. So we had all these social media platforms. And I look at Web 3 as connecting all of the assets, all the value, which I think does kind of tie into what you're saying is ownership. And, there's the argument that Web 3.0 must be decentralized. Others saying it's got to be centralized. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think the goal for a lot of cryptocurrencies, I mean, the whole reason that Bitcoin was developed was because of a desire for decentralization and a desire to move the financial space away from centralized authorities. But unfortunately, that's very difficult to do in a way when you are actively creating products and when people are creating products for this like new iteration of the web. So Bitcoin can continue to exist, for example, because it doesn't have traditional developers like working on it constantly. It can sort of keep going without having a development team. Whereas other things can't. So OpenSea needs the devs to be working on it. And things like OpenSea, which is a NFT marketplace for Ethereum and Polygon and now Solana-based NFTs, they are more centralized. And so I think it's going to be very difficult to achieve true decentralization. I think there's always going to be a fair amount of centralization no matter what, just because that makes for also a better user experience and a safer user experience for people. So it's going to be a difficult negotiation, and I think we're going to fall somewhere in the middle where we'll see things that are way more centralized, like blockchain games. Those are obviously going to be among the most centralized things that are going to pop up in this space where, they have game developers, there's a clear studio with a clear office where people are clearly doing work. It's a very traditional centralized corporation. And then we're going to have maybe like some more DeFi platforms that are way more decentralized finance that allow for this sort of decentralized trading. And I'm not personally an expert in DeFi, but it is a whole other beast in terms of how it interacts with the crypto space.
Sure. And how it, I guess, keeps your assets out of the control of other people. We saw this thing that happened with Canada where, the Canadian government was basically saying, hey, shut down these accounts at these crypto exchanges or else. And, when you go decentralized, you somewhat alleviate that problem. So, who knows if Web 3.0 will be fully decentralized. I think there will be some aspects to it that are decentralized, but time will tell. For the viewers out at home, I'm going to share a screen with you just to show you, this is OpenSea's volume. So as Kate had mentioned, OpenSea right now arguably is the juggernaut in the industry with regards to NFTs. Of course, they're expanding, but you also have a lot of other platforms that are offering them or trying to bring a marketplace, such as, I guess you could look at FTX, you've got Rarible, Coinbase, Zora, there's a whole bunch, Nifty Gateway, all kinds of different ones. But what's interesting about this, and this middle chart here, sorry, I know you can't see this, Kate, but you probably know the stats. If you go back to December of 2020, the volume on OpenSea was 3.5 million for the month. Nothing. Then you go to February, and all of a sudden you're at 322. You go forward 1 year, going to January of 2022, you were at $5.8 billion worth of volume in a month. Now, the interesting thing is it's slowly declining. You are seeing a little bit of a sell-off here, and I think that has largely to do with more competition in this space. But I think it's safe to say that this industry, while it's very young, is starting to get a pretty big foothold in the financial markets or in the digital asset space. So I guess I have a broader question for you, which is, in your mind, what is the purpose of an NFT? I mean, we talk about ownership and possession. I think there's a lot of different, let's just say, levels of NFTs, right? There's some that I look at and I go, there's no way this thing serves any purpose. It's a pure rug pull scam. And there's other sides where I go, wow, this has incredible use case scenarios. So I guess what would you, in your mind, what's the role of NFTs in digital assets?
Yeah, so this is something that's super interesting, and a lot of people have been speculating on this and asking questions and proposing their own theories on this. I mean, going back to the OpenSea monthly volume that you talked about, I'm looking at the Dune Analytics data, so I don't know if that's
what I've got up there. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I'm seeing a huge spike around August of 2021, where we're going from about 328 million to about 3 billion.
Yeah.
So that is an insane spike. And then obviously we're peaking in January at almost, around 5 billion US dollars in monthly volume traded just for Ethereum NFTs. So that's not accounting the Polygon NFTs that were traded on the site, which have a much smaller trade volume. But we're just seeing this massive spike, and it is to an outside person, it might look a lot like a bubble, just because of the huge massive spike and then the drop down that's happening, that happened in February, March, and now in April. We're seeing this sort of decrease in monthly trade volume. We're also seeing a decrease in just the overall number of NFTs sold. And we're seeing a decrease in the number of overall active traders. So what you can sort of guess from that is obviously that overall there was this sort of huge hype phase and then a sort of decrease as people are calming down a little bit. So to get to your main question, what is the utility of NFTs? I think what we're seeing right now with the decline in monthly volume is everyone is asking that question finally.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone bought their NFTs in this sort of like big like hype cycle that happened. And now they're looking at their NFTs and saying, all these projects didn't turn out to be the next Bored Apes that I hoped they would be. I invested $400 in this NFT, and I don't feel like I'm seeing results immediately. I'm not seeing money back. I'm not able to like make money off this immediately. Why did I buy this? And so some people are asking themselves those questions, and as a result, not the hype and the growth in the market has stalled a bit. That's not to say I'm definitely not bearish on NFTs though, and I'm not trying to like sound that I am. But I think right now, what a lot of people are really thinking about is just how NFTs can be used for building in Web3 and how they can be used for clear utility. And so I think the primary two main use cases that we're seeing already in the short and long term is we're seeing number one, as a membership club, pass as like a membership club. So owning that NFT gives you access to some kind of membership club that is exclusive, sort of like owning an American Express credit card or having, membership to a club like the Soho House or some kind of, luxury club like
Perks.
that.
Yeah, some perks.
So we're seeing stuff like that. It could also be used in the future with media as a method of payment for subscriptions. So, the New York Times, who knows if they'll do that in the future, but could be a good Web3 integration. And then lastly, we're seeing a lot of Web3 conversations around NFTs with turning NFTs into in-game assets. So using NFTs as a way and a means for in-game assets like cosmetics, weapons, items, tools, characters, in-game land, or anything like that, and turning those into NFTs and then trading them on through the blockchain that they're built on, whether it's Polygon, Solana, Avalanche, Ethereum, etc. And so I think those are the main like quote unquote like use cases or utilities that we're going to be seeing. There's a lot of talk around music NFTs as well, but I've heard people from both sides of the fence. I've heard some people say, well, we love this idea of fans being able to buy a song, someone's song as an NFT and then get royalties on like future plays of the song. I've also heard someone say, a music producer, so like big people in the music space, say, well, people are already getting music for pretty much free. They're paying so little for their Spotify subscription or whatnot. So what is the motivator there for fans to pay anything for music, really? And so this is a conversation that the music industry is going to have to continue to grapple with. But to really sort of make a long story out of your short question, I think those main utility and use cases are going to be membership clubs, gaming assets, and potentially music NFTs. But we'll see how that really plays out.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. Like on one side, I look at something like a Bored Ape or a Solana Ape, and I apologize for cursing, but who's the friggin' idiot who spent 10, 15, 20 million dollars on a static JPEG. I shake my head and go, how is this possible? I'd rather spend $10 million and buy a new home. And for the longest time, I'm looking at the Bored Apes going, it's a joke. This is an absolute pump and dump. It's going to be a rug pull. And I don't know if the rest of the viewers saw what happened with Coinbase last couple of days. Coinbase. But Coinbase is now doing a trilogy of movies with Bored Apes. I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. So now you can submit your Bored Ape, which you paid a lot of money for, to be a potential actor in the Coinbase movies and potentially get royalties from it. So just throwing out some new ideas, because I think the challenge is there's so much potential use case for NFTs, we just haven't explored it yet. And now my digital likeness of an ape smoking a cigar with a sailor hat on could now be a lead actor and I get royalties from it. So this is just some obscure use case that, who knows, maybe this is the future of animation, right? We would own the Mickey Mouse of the Disney show or Princess Jasmine. I think it's a real interesting concept and change.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking that exact thing and working towards that. I personally don't think that like royalties necessarily are that appealing just to me personally for NFTs, because if you are sinking so much money in and you don't know like how much money you're going to get out in terms of royalties, and when it's only about money, it's like, why don't you just go trade crypto? Like what is it about the NFT that is exciting to you?
Mm-hmm.
I like to sort of think of it as, I would rather just, and do stuff with crypto, the currencies, and not do stuff with NFTs, because the crypto is easier to trade because all the crypto is fungible, right? They're all fungible tokens. You can sell your Ethereum just as quickly as you can buy it. Whereas with NFTs, you're taking on a lot more risk actually, because it's way harder to sell an NFT. And it can be often harder to buy an NFT because they are non-fungible tokens. Each token is unique on the blockchain. Each token is connected to a specific metadata. Mm-hmm. And in the case of the Bored Apes, it's connected to that image of the ape, that 2D image. But with Yuga Labs, which is the creator of the Bored Apes, they sort of launched that. Yep. They recently raised $450 million in seed funding and are now valued at $4 billion. And that number is just mind blowing to just think about. So when I think about that, that is why I realize that is what makes me realize that this is here to stay, at least for now. Mm-hmm. There are some big investors behind that funding as well. We're seeing some big blockchain gaming companies funding that and getting involved, some people from exchanges getting involved. So at that point, I personally don't think that Yuga Labs is illegitimate. I think they are legitimate, and I think that they are working towards something that is very legitimate. But it is very easy to just sort of write it off as like, oh, haha, like, Eminem paid millions of dollars for an ape. It's like, well, I've met a number of people in the Bored Ape community, mm-hmm. and I could go into the word community. That's a whole other conversation with NFTs. But I've met some people that own Bored Apes, and a lot of them did not pay $300,000.
Right, they were early.
A lot of people were early. A lot of people bought those apes a long time ago, for 0.07 or whatever the mint price was. And they got it for relatively cheap, and some of them sold their apes too early. Some of them sold them, at different times. So a lot of these people have just had their apes for a long time. So not everyone is going in and spending millions of dollars. So not every holder is in that position. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting to think about, if you had an NFT that was worth $300,000, $500,000, how much is that worth to you? And what would you do if you were in that position? So,
there's a couple concerns, or at least one big one that I have, and I was actually making a joke about this before I knew that there was an actual term in the industry. And I said, look, if I've got a stupid picture, and I don't know, I could draw a picture of my dog with a Sharpie, and this becomes the Yoa coin. My dog's name is Ioa, by the way. I got the Yoa line, and I just draw Sharpie pictures of him doing all kinds of stuff at the park, and they're just sketches, right? It's got no value. But I can go to OpenSea and now list this picture that's worth absolutely nothing. And let's say I've got $100,000 in my checking account. I go and buy that NFT with my $100,000 of whatever cryptocurrency now. And now I take those fees out. And let's say I receive $90,000 for my sale of this dog picture with a Sharpie. I've got 90 grand from that. So I now have $90,000 and a picture that has a sticker price and has sold for 100 grand. So technically, I now have $190,000 worth of value, whereas before, I had $100,000 in cash and a stupid picture on a napkin of my dog. This is called wash trading in the NFT space, and I'm curious from your perspective, or maybe your experiences, how much of this inflation that we've seen in not just Bored Apes, but so many other different NFTs is done because of somebody doing just that, saying, hey, I'm going to buy it from myself to inflate the price, and then I'll sell it at a higher price because people think it's got value.
So wash trading is interesting. I mean, where that's really happening, as far as I understand, and I'm not really using this platform that much, but when LooksRare, which is another NFT marketplace, when LooksRare first launched, that was a concern that some people had, where LooksRare, because they issue you a token with every sale that can be converted to real money, that people were wash trading to effectively just sort of farm looks tokens. Okay. That was sort of, as far as I understand, what was happening there. But NFT sales, like, just because your drawn image on a napkin, you decided to sell it to yourself and not sort of anonymously for like 100K, that doesn't mean that anyone's going to go in and buy it for 200K.
Right.
The NFT space is very much built on, it's very active on Twitter. It's very much about who knows who, and it's almost, at least on Twitter, it's become this sort of subculture where it's a lot of it's word of mouth, people saying, oh, have you heard about this mint? Oh, have you heard about that mint? And so if your NFT collection doesn't have like a major celebrity involved, or isn't sort of being talked about in these social circles and subculture circles, and among the other prominent NFT collections, the people in their Discord servers, their communities, it's very unlikely, in my opinion, that you would be able to sell it for $200,000. But like people like Gary V, he's able to sell his V friends, which are blind drawings. Yep. He's able to sell those for what it is, because first of all, it's Gary V. Everyone, sees him as this inspirational figure and this inspirational entrepreneur. And what he is selling specifically with V Friends is not the JPEG, right? He is selling access to him and access to like his community and like his knowledge. And so that's, I think, the premise for his NFTs, which, people might be shocked to learn that some of those line drawings are selling for what they are. Yeah,
I've got them up here. You got little pictures of a cat for 13 ETH as your flora. The calm clam are like, I actually think that I may have drawn that same clam picture when I was in first grade, but I did it with finger paints, But you're right, he's selling, I guess, a value added. And you alluded to that earlier, is there's perks which give a lot of these value. And, as we see this industry grow, it's, okay, I buy this glowing glowworm from Gary V. What does it get me? Oh, I can get into conferences. I get, maybe one-on-one speaking time, whatever the case may be. And I look at the crypto world the same way. There's 20,000+ different cryptocurrencies. I would say out of 20,000, probably 18,000 are shitcoins. They're just made out of nothing. I literally, in my class, make cryptos just for fun to show people how easy it is to do. What's the use case, right? What's that utility they bring to the table? That said, since we talked about kind of navigating the seas of NFTs, what are some of the things, if people here are watching, if they're interested in this space, what should they look out for? You hear about rug pulls with crypto, and to me, because it's so new, and I still don't think it's under really any regulatory microscope, I think that the potential for fraud, for scams, is even higher with NFTs than even crypto. So what are some things we should look out for so we don't get caught?
I think some people recently have drawn attention to just really high mint prices, which is the primary sale price. Mm-hmm. So typically, with the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks, like, they had very, very low mint prices, if not, free. And a lot of these NFT collections had very low mint prices in their primary sales. So right now, and among some of that like peak hype period that we talked about, which occurred a few months ago, a lot of collections were minting out for very, very high prices. They were saying, okay, your primary sale, we're saying it's 1 Ethereum. which, is $3,000 US. We're saying, our mint price is 3 Ethereum,
Right.
and so on and so on. So some of those like really high mint prices, I think people should be extra careful, because you're going to have to expect way, way more out of the founders, and out of the people that are bringing your project to life. NFTs in general are very centralized. I realize that they exist on a decentralized blockchain, but in most cases, the creators of these NFTs are actually able to update or change the metadata, which is what you're seeing on your user interface of OpenSea. They're able to change the metadata at any time. So there is like a degree of trust that has to be established, or not established,
right,
with any NFT project, because, for example, some notorious rug pulls have updated the metadata to troll the people that minted them. And so, yeah, like be very careful of like any project that is making really big promises, really high mint price, or if any like anonymous founders, I personally would be very like wary of, just because there's no accountability there. And I think that is a big thing to just look out for. Is a lot of people, it's become normalized in this space to just sort of see a quick website and be like, oh, cool, like this project sounds great, like they're promising a game and a show and a this, and it's like, well, how, like when, are we going to be realistic about that, and what does that look like? And so it's definitely a lot of this sort of like WAGMI ethos, which is like a NFT slang term, like we all gonna make it. It's a lot of people sort of running around saying that. And I've always been trying to urge people to just be extremely careful, because NFTs are higher risk than just regular cryptocurrencies, because they're non-fungible. So once you buy one, it's a lot harder to sell one. You can't sell one instantly. It's a lot more difficult, and NFTs have varying rarities as well, which affect their sellable price.
Right. Like you said, the WAGMI, we're all going to make it. I look at some of these projects and I'm like, NAGMI, NGMI, never going to make it. Let's see. Dickens asked a question. He says, what prevents another company from becoming the next Yuga? They delivered some JPEGs to the party so far. I mean, true. But what do you think is going to prevent? I mean, I guess right now Yuga, because they were Bored Apes and now they've got CryptoPunks. It seems to me like, to answer the question briefly, what's to prevent it is Yuga now has capital. Yuga is the juggernaut in this space, if you will. They got the two biggest lines of NFTs. They could very easily start to gobble up all the competition. Am I wrong?
I mean, they definitely could do that if we wanted to speculate on what they could be doing. I think they also acquired Amoebits too, which is another NFT collection. Yeah, they definitely could do that. I mean, I personally believe that the Bored Apes were kind of this like magic lightning in a bottle moment, for NFTs that may never happen again. It's a lot of the most recent NFT hype cycle, in part, I think, having spent like hundreds of hours in NFT Twitter spaces, like listening to people talking about their hopes and thoughts on the space, who are actively trading a lot of NFTs, I feel like a lot of that hype cycle occurred because everyone was looking for the next Bored Apes. Everyone was thinking that their project was going to be the next Bored Apes, or if people thought that that they could just make even a fraction of the money that people have made flipping their or selling their Bored Apes, that their derivative project inspired by the apes could give them a fraction of that. And so I think that experience was kind of like a lightning in a bottle moment. It may never happen again. It might, who knows? But I think that going forward, I hope that people realize that that kind of a moment and that kind of a collection is very rare, and a lot of people are trying to pass off their collections as being like that, when in reality they're not.
Right.
And I think people just have to be extremely careful about the founders. A lot of these anonymous founders are claiming that they worked at XYZ company, but it's like there's no proof because they're anonymous. It's like you can't say that you're ex Microsoft when you're anonymous. Like that doesn't hold any weight with me. So it's really tough in this space. And I mean, with Yuga Labs specifically, yes, it started with JPEGs, but I think that collection has become historic already. So it has historic clout. I think it's already become this kind of elite membership club simply because of all the celebrities that have bought in. So it's transcended to something that is beyond just JPEGs of apes.
I agree. And
It has become historic in the crypto space. And so what you're buying is a lot more than just the ape at this point. You're buying this sort of elite like membership pass. And it is kind of exclusive, and it is kind of elitist in a way, simply because of the floor price is, the price of a Lamborghini. But it's building something. They're trying to build something that is more than just their JPEGs, and I think some of the leadership behind like Ape DAO, which is their DAO surrounding their coin, I am watching that with curiosity to see what they do.
I agree with you. I think it is a historical piece, even though I think a lot of people go, it's just a JPEG. It's the, I guess, the starting point for what is the NFT movement. And of course, we could look at Beeple or some other art like that. I think that's a different ball game, where NFTs is now kind of or not NFTs, but the Bored Apes is kind of like, it's my persona, right? It reflects me. I'm using it as my avatar or my LinkedIn picture and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that that's part of it. And when you have influencers out there, that obviously helps. I mean, it's swaying the vote, if you will. And as a question that came in from MP says, how is this not celebrity influencer pump and dump? Well, certainly there's an element to it. If no celebrities bought a Bored Ape, if Eminem was like, no, that's trash, I'm going to go with a Solana ape, and everybody went Solana apes, well, we would see Solana apes do really well. But the fact remains, celebrities are caught up in it as well. They want to be the cool kid and have a Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yeah, there is something about that. And I mean, I don't think any derivative projects are able to see that level of success simply because they're not like the original. They're essentially a copycat project. But yeah, it's very interesting just like where this NFT space is going. A lot of people are going to continue to be skeptical, and that's okay. I think that's totally normal and healthy to be that way. So if it's not for you, it's not for you, and I think that's totally fine. I'm not here to convince you that NFTs are cool or not cool. I do think that at this point, some of those collections are overpriced. And I think a lot of that, like that price, that hype is just surrounding the status symbol of what those assets have become. So those things have become status symbols, almost as a way to like flex how much money you have if you are buying in like later in the game.
Sure. There's a comment that came through from Tom, one of our regulars here, and he says, I keep getting visions of Pogs and Pokemon cards and Beanie Babies. Pet rocks just showed up in my brain. Values peak at retail sales or first resale. What's interesting about all those ones you mentioned, they still have value. I mean, if you look at original OG Pokemon cards, those things are ridiculously expensive. I actually have Garbage Pail Kids that I remember I got when I was in elementary school. An unopened pack of Garbage Pail Kids goes for hundreds of dollars, and it's just like, 5 cards. It's crazy. So I think that the Bored Ape phenomenon is relatively similar to that. It's OG, but now you've got chicken NFTs and hippo NFTs and cat NFTs. I mean, you name an animal, pretty soon there's aardvarks and, giraffe NFT. They're all copycatting at this point. So we could go down that rabbit hole and keep on going. Let's move on, because I want to get your take on maybe projects that you like. Obviously, you are knee deep in the industry. You're going to events and covering it as a reporter. I'm sure you see some stuff you really find interesting. What is it? Which one, I guess, what do you like? What is sort of some that really just float your boat with regards to NFTs right now?
So I don't really want to like give advice for people on like what NFTs to buy. But I'll just sort of share like what I look for in a collection, because I don't really think I'm even like not that necessarily that good of a trader, because a lot of NFT, if you're in it just for the money, a lot of it is about like getting in early to these collections to maximize the amount of profit that you can make. Because if you get on the allow list, commonly also known as like a whitelist, which is a pre-sale before the primary sale, so you get to mint the NFT before the primary sale. A lot of that, like that is the time to get in, is the allow list with some of these projects. And so it's really hard to say like what project is the most exciting to me. I think a lot of like gaming projects that have like docs developers with good reputations in the traditional gaming industry that are now moving into Web3. I think that's very exciting to see. So I'm looking at the people that are doxed, to be honest, just for myself personally. I'm looking at people that are doxed. I'm looking at stuff that's on either based on Ethereum. I haven't waded into the Solana verse yet. I know there's so many different NFTs, across Solana, Cardano, Polygon, but I'm primarily looking at docs founders with good reputations, building stuff on Ethereum, and looking at stuff that I think might be currently undervalued. Like if you come in late to a project and you see that this project exists already and you're like, oh no, I missed the pre-sale. Yeah, there could be a time where the price dips, and that could be a good time for you to buy in if you really want to be a part of whatever it is that they're working on. So I personally, I don't really want to like give any like specific collections, but yeah, but I do like some of the new things that are happening where they're trying to move beyond just a profile picture for Twitter. So I'm really looking forward to that and excited towards that. But until then, I've sort of personally just calmed down from my NFT buying for now.
All right, NFT buying is calmed down, but as you've mentioned before, you're a gamer. So, there is a lot of different metaverse or gaming things out there like the Sandbox and Decentralization, Axie Infinity, etc. I mean, all these different games out there. Any of those that you play? It's not a recommendation, but are there any that you play? If we want to stumble through some metaverse and run into Kate Irwin in a game, where am I going to find you?
So So I grew up, I mean, I'm not actively playing like any Web3 games right now, simply because I'm not like interested in investing capital right now in Web3 games. But I'm looking at the upcoming games, and I'm very excited about some of the games that are still in the works. Like, I feel like we are so early with blockchain games in general. I mean, you're seeing games like Axie Infinity, you're seeing games like Splinterlands do different things. And essentially those are like trading card based Web3 games. So I'm personally more excited for the games that are in other genres. I did like Hearthstone, which is sort of the iconic card Web2 like card trading game. But I'm honestly excited for some of the battle royale stuff. I'm excited for some of the sort of like mission or MMORPG type games that are coming out. I'm watching what different game studios are doing. I mean, in my spare time, like right now, like whenever I get a chance, I play Apex Legends. I want to get back into Fortnite. I used to play a lot of Overwatch. I have played some Call of Duty. So a lot of different games I've played in this sort of genre of like first person shooter, battle royale type games. And there aren't really that many right now in the Web3 space that are out that have a blockchain base. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of those games that are coming out. I know like Big Time is working on an MMORPG. I know Mighty Bear Games is moving towards Web3 fully. And I know there's so many other studios that are working on great stuff. I know like Polygon Studios is trying to focus on gaming, and FTX is working on games. Sort of through their like crypto integration. So I'm watching everything that I can in the space and trying to get excited about all the different type of stuff that's coming out.
Well, I'm looking forward to more articles from you on that subject. One area that I find interesting is the play to earn, and I've been looking at a lot of different ones and just trying things out. And bottom line is, if you want to earn in those video games, you have to spend a ton of money to even get to the point that you can start to earn. So I'm curious to get your take at some point down the road on P2E games. Obviously, there's a bunch of them out there, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. Guys, our guest today has been Kate Irwin. If you go to Decrypt, they've got just tons of articles on anything to do with the digital markets, NFTs, Metaverse. They've always got some great content there. I'll post her link in the chat here so you guys can all have this one. This is a direct link to her page. She puts out at least an article a day, sometimes 2 or 3 a day on different things. You can see here there was 2 yesterday. There's your Gary V right there. Question earlier was, why does Gary V do so well when Tia Lopez failed? Because it's Gary V. He's got Gary V on the line. I mean, he's the man. But let me bring up the screen there. There's your Decrypt page. And then I posted in the chat, which I think just went through. Nope, there's the link to Kate's landing page for her articles. Tons of stuff. So if you're interested in this space, she just got a great writing style and pretty much covers everything from an objective standpoint, as everybody at Decrypt does, running through just about every single topic you can imagine. So run through that and see if there's anything that you like, and return to those sites to get more from Kate Irwin. I'll keep it there, Kate. I know I could go longer, but maybe another month or so we'll do an update on what you see in the gaming space or NFTs. But it was fun to get you on here for your maiden voyage.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to maybe coming back in the future if we see some more exciting OpenSea volume or other things going on in the NFT space.
It's always exciting. Are you doing any conferences? I should throw that one out there. I know we talked before, but I don't know what your any upcoming events where people might be able to meet you. I know you did NFT LA. Did you do some meetups in LA or something like that?
I was just at NFT LA, which was mostly downtown Los Angeles. I also was just at Bitcoin Miami in Miami. So nothing for work coming up, but I am going to Coachella just for fun.
Nice. Well, we'll wait for your report on that one. Coachella is always an interesting time. All right,
yeah,
Kate.
I heard they were doing NFTs.
Oh, great. Everything's going to be an NFT. There's no show, actually. You just drive into the parking lot. They give you an NFT of the entire concert lineup, and you just leave. That's what Coachella is this year. All right, Kate. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to having you on again soon. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Guys, that was Kate Irwin of Decrypt.co. You can find out more information simply by going to Decrypt, and actually on their webpage, if you go to the front, they got a ton of great writers. I'm hoping to get more on in the future, but if you go to their front page here and just go to the left hand side, you see team, and you can tell they've got a whole bunch of different people in there. If you're just scrolling through, there's Kate's page, and then that'll get you all of her NFTs. A lot of really interesting stuff. And, it's not, as she mentioned, she's not an investment advisor. It's not like there's investment advice being given, but I think it's important that if you are interested in it, that you learn about it. Just like, many of you here to learn about trading and investing. Well, before you dive in, make sure you know what the hell you're doing. And, I was kind of laughing at this Gary V one, right? He raised $3.5 million for an NFT basketball game. But, when I look at, I think I may have, let me go back here. Oh, I think I actually closed out OpenSea. When we were looking at the OpenSea that he's selling on OpenSea, his NFTs, garbage. They're trash. Literally, I could hire the kids from the school down the street, it's an elementary school, to draw pictures that were way better than what Gary V is selling. Why are they spending that much money for it? Well, because it's part of a community, right? It's part of, you are now almost like, what's that guy's name? Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins, Mr. Motivational Speaker. Surprised he doesn't have NFTs. And if you want, you can get a little bit of consultation with him if you own an NFT. So it's about club membership ownership, which I think is a new path that we're seeing NFTs go down. And I'm pretty excited to see that one happen. I agree with you, Christian. An is a nut. But you know what? He gets it done. He gets things done, and he's making money out there. So bravo for him for selling a squibble of an oyster or a glowing worm. It just blows my mind. We'll look forward to having her on more often. Actually, I like the whole team over at Decrypt. Everybody that I've listened to interviews from or different presentations or articles, they always do a very good job of walking that line of, we're just giving you the information as we see it, as opposed to some other sites which are like, here's our opinion and stay away from that garbage. You'll never want to touch it. Do your own a promoter of a cult, another membership. Gary V. I would say he's a cult. Gary V is a cult. Sorry. If you take cult as being a negative thing, then sure, Gary V is a cult. If you take it as a positive thing, up to you. But yes, he has a cult following, does he not? So does Tony Robbins. Even in some respects, I have a cult following, although it's very, very small. We got 100 people or so on my cult. Yay! Don't worry, we're not going to make you drink any Kool-Aid or anything like that. All right, let me real quickly run through some stuff. Again, I enjoyed that in show today. I hope you learned a little bit about NFTs. It's interesting seeing the evolution of it. I personally see that what happened with the Bored Apes Yacht Club announcement with Coinbase really was an interesting development for me. It finally was a click moment where I went, aha! I have use case for this stupid picture of a monkey. He's my actor. He could be my Brad Pitt, and I'm now getting royalties from it. And, Kate was saying that she doesn't really see it from the royalty side of things. I have to say, I do see it. Because if I own an NFT of a Bored Ape, right? Let's say I buy this NFT. and it's now an actor in a movie. The likeness of my ape becomes a character in that movie. If that movie keeps selling, I now have a revenue stream. So not only is my Bored Ape going to be worth more because, hey, it's a famous quote-unquote actor, but it's also going to be worth more because it has a fixed set of income streams coming in. That's interesting to me. Now you own this asset, which is now generating income streams. As traders, as investors, I think this is pretty important. It's a litmus test to see if ownership of something like a Bored Ape or any other NFT picture can be used as an actor and all of a sudden royalties. How is this all going to work? I don't know. We'll see what happens when Coinbase rolls out the 3 Bored Ape movies, which is going to happen, I believe, in June. And in order to watch those Bored Ape movies, you can only watch them if you have a Coinbase wallet. That's the point of NFTs. They aren't art. They're a handshake and a membership. Exactly, Christian. Right? And I kind of appreciate that. It's like saying, I know it's a stupid picture. It doesn't matter. It's yours. You are part of the group. Gary Vee makes money making people think they can get things done. True. However, I will say, Tom, some of those people that he talks to are getting things done, right? Again, I look at, you could take any trading school out there. Some students are going to take that class and become very good traders. Others, probably the majority, aren't going to become good traders. They're not going to follow rules. They're not going to be motivated enough, not to have the plan in place, whatever the case may be. And maybe ultimately they just fail at trading and then they point the finger at the school. Well, don't point the finger at Gary Vee because he didn't get things done, right? I'm going to have to read more about it. Let's see. Most cults want to take your money, unlike Merlin Scott. That's true, Mark. I'm not interested in taking money. So I'm interested in talking about them damn markets. Oh, and I apologize. There was a couple questions I did not get a chance to get to, so I owe you a mea culpa out there for Margaret. Margaret was asking, Tomasina asked about, are they concerned about money laundering? I don't think that Kate was probably concerned about money laundering. I think it's in the industry. How deep? That we don't know. And there was one from Margaret asking about what her favorite crypto is. Sorry, I didn't get that one. I'll get it next time, I promise. All right, let me real quickly run through because we are going to be a late show today. And Big Eb, is he even here today? I don't think Big Eb. Oh, there he is. There's Big Eb. Oh, you're in Maui? Checking in from Maui. Hey, mahalo, malikipiki yakapako. No, I'll do a little dance for you. I have a grass skirt on, by the way. I'm just kidding. You guys know I do the show with no pants on, right? Anyway, we won't stand up today. Let's go and look at your economic calendar. Or earnings and economics. So here's your earnings calendar. Why did the market soar today? Well, you had some decent news on the earnings front. Now, I know it may not look like that. JP Morgan actually disappointed on their earnings. They were down a little bit, but you had Delta Airlines was up with a decent pop. You had BlackRock. They beat earnings as well, although slightly down. Bed Bath & Beyond, just garbage. They were supposed to make 2 cents per share. They came out at negative 92 cents. Negative 92 cents. Like, good job, Bed Bath & Beyond. Way to just completely destroy your expectations here. And there's the chart. You can clearly see that somebody's known about this for the past couple of weeks as Bed Bath & Beyond was accumulating or tallying up their earnings going, we going to have a miss on our earnings. So there's your Bed Bath & Beyond chart. Go back to what we've got cooking over here. So that was your basics for the earnings. But the major stuff for me was here. Look at what happened with the UK on their consumer price index. It was expected to increase from 6.2% to 6.7. They came out at 7.0. That's a bit higher than expectations. And of course, we have some CPI and PPI numbers as well. If you look at our markets down here, oh, look at that. Producer price index vaulting, which means, in my opinion, that corporate profits are going to start to get choked. Remember, if CPI rises more than PPI, that means that producers make money. If PPI increases more than CPI, then that means that producers are going to lose money because customers are paying less and the producers, it's costing more to make. So that was a pretty big pop there. Even on the core, which strips out food and energy, a much bigger number. Yet markets, what did they do? Rallied. Here's our charts for today. Gold up 0.44%. You had the Dow was up about 1%. S&P 1.12%, all looking pretty decent. The Russell killing it up 1.89% after a weak slide. And I say weak as in W-E-E-K. NASDAQ had a nice pop today of almost 2%. At one point it was over 2%. Crude oil getting back on its upward slope here, breaking that downtrend line that I have drawn, although it's a steep one. Crude oil was up about 3.6%. And then Bitcoin, hallelujah, crypto's finally getting a little bit of a pop after this real big slip to the south side. Bitcoin today closing right now at 41,120. Now, I guess we can go through, I'm not going to plug my show or in Vegas anymore. You guys know that. Oh, I did mention, I guess let me plug it because I got to put some stuff on the screen here. I know some of you were asking about the show in Vegas. There is the piece, and I'm going to put two things in the chat. The first one is the link to the presentation. The second one, which is OTA 50. Real quickly, let me take that off. There's the email or the link. And then this, if you put in OTA 50, I think it takes $50 off of your subscription or your admission fee to the conference. And hopefully I'll get to see somebody there. I know some of you already mentioned you're going. Awesome. Again, it's not just me. There's going to be a lot of other presenters there. So I would encourage you to check that out and learn some stuff. Maybe I'll even go to some of the presentations with you so we can point fingers and laugh at some of the claims these people are making. All right, here's what's cooking for tomorrow as I wrap up today's show. If you look at the economic calendar, you can see there's quite a few big announcements, especially with the U.S. I mean, there's more than normal. You've got retail sales numbers, unemployment claims, import prices, consumer sentiment numbers, natural gas storage. It is a very busy day. A lot of people expecting retail sales numbers to increase significantly over the previous reading. We'll see if that comes through. But in the wee hours of the morning at 4:45 a.m. Pacific time, we do have the euro with their main refinance rate. Right now, expectations are that it's going to stay the same. I feel incredibly mounting pressures on the ECB to raise this main refinance rate. Right now, everybody's thinking it's going to stay at zero. That was the forecast from months ago. It's going to stay the same. But at some point, Euro's going to have to see liftoff on this main refinance rate. Can't keep it that low forever because they're going to stoke inflation even more. So that's your major economic announcements. But that pales in comparison to the motherload of earnings announcements. I didn't change it. Did I? No, there we go. You've got Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and U.S. Bancorp and Wells Fargo. So these are, some of the major financial firms out there. Again, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and U.S. Bancorp all reporting earnings before market opens tomorrow. You also have United Health Group, you have Ericsson, and Rite Aid reporting earnings tomorrow as well. All right, let's see. So let me think about what we've got cooking for tomorrow. There's always something going on in the program. Of course, I was hopefully going to have Sam Evans on the program on Monday, on Tuesday, but that didn't quite happen. Unfortunately, Sam had something come up. Today, we had Kate Irwin on the program, which was awesome. Hopefully, you guys learned something about NFTs and that whole marketplace. For tomorrow's show, we've got yet another guest for you, and I am bringing that one up right here. I was going to try to share it with everybody so you could see it. We're going to have Chuck Fulkerson of Traders Army on the program tomorrow. He is kind of a trader in everything, so it could be a totally open show. If you have something you want us to talk about specifically, you can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, which you have on the screen, or the best thing to do is put it down below the YouTube video. Again, I was told that helps the ratings, although I haven't seen much of a spike in my channel at all. But hey, put the comments down below the YouTube video, and hopefully I will get to those on tomorrow's show. And if you want to know more about Kate Irwin, go check out her page at Decrypt. I put the link in the chat window. It's just go to decrypt.co/author/Kate Irwin. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. I hope you had a great trading session and looking forward to even more of it tomorrow. And it's not an hour show, much to Big Eb's dismay. Big Eb, get out to that beach. Go sit out there with a cocktail in your hand. Enjoy some water. Watch out for the sharks. Everybody else, have a great trading day tomorrow. I will see you then. Take care.